Psychedelics were early on, from the very first opening innings of Esalen in 1962. There it was. And in those days, I was fortunate. I got my first trip with Aldous Huxley. That was nice. Then with Tim Leary and Dick Alpert. So it was much in the ascendancy.
An idea is an idea that's waiting for the right cultural or social moment. The ideas had been floating in the culture and in these writers' lives for sometimes decades, but nobody was listening. And in the early 60s, you then have this youth culture that suddenly is listening, and it's this magical alchemy that creates this movement. The very first workshops are on things like drug-induced mysticism, I think was the phrase.
The core elements of Esalen rested on a kind of nest of psychedelic experience.
At this time, it was totally legal. So the crisis was not a legal one, it was a theological crisis. What they were really debating was, can you really experience God by ingesting a mushroom?
When I started to find out that psychedelics had this rich history of healing that went all the way back to the time period that you're talking about, very quickly it became clear that it was something that I needed to focus on. I found my way to Esalen through this work in trying to find new ways to reduce suffering from depression, mental health, and psychedelics became a big part of the conversation very quickly. Here's a healing modality that not only have we known at Esalen for the whole history of Esalen is so beneficial to not just reducing suffering, but also helping them find their potential. Here we are at this really important moment in time. When I think about Roland Griffiths actually found his way to this work through a meeting at Esalen. So did Rick Doblin and the MAPS crew. Roland and Rick Doblin and a lot of the people who are considered the leaders of the psychedelic movement today started that work at a conference at Esalen. It's an amazing point in time right now that we sit at where these tools are becoming available again. And I wonder if, years into the future, we're going to look back and just think it was a crime against humanity that these tools were taken out of the game for really multiple generations.
The rebirth of psychedelics. People are trying to work to not let it get out of control as it did in the late 60s and into the early 70s. So can we give birth to a wiser, more grounded appreciation of this?